Hello, I'm so excited to see you today. This has been a wonderful week of sharing my reading program, Phonetic Reading with Silent Elephant E with you. I'm so excited today to be able to teach you some lessons out of Part 1, Phonemic Awareness. When I discovered that my then 3-year-old daughter is dyslexic, my passion for developing a reading program was ignited. I wanted to write the best program there was for phonemic awareness and phonics that would teach all children with or without learning differences. I hope that you've had a chance to view that video explaining the origin of Silent Elephant E. I shared how I designed and wrote Silent Elephant E. It is easy and fun for you to teach with, and it's easy and fun for your children to learn with. They will quickly excel in their reading, writing, and spelling, gaining confidence every day. I hope you've had a chance to view that video that thoroughly explains Silent Elephant E's programs, content, and design. I shared my 10 years worth of data compiled from tutoring children with or without learning differences. The advancements my kiddos made while learning with Silent Elephant E are simply amazing and outstanding. So I hope you've had a chance to view that video too. If you have any questions, you can certainly email me at silentelephante@gmail.com. I'd love to visit with you. I'm going to start teaching you about phonemic awareness by telling you a heartwarming story about one of the children that I tutor. I've entitled this story A Precious Story because it truly is precious. After just 5 tutoring sessions with a 10-year-old girl using phonetic reading with Silent Elephant E, Part 1, we were on lesson 4D, D like in dog. She softly said to me, with her head down, she's very shy, "I think I have figured out what you are trying to teach me." "What have you figured out?" I asked encouragingly and with much anticipation. "I have figured out that words have sounds in them," she hesitatingly began. I smiled at her to keep on going. "I can hear sounds in the words now. I see different colored, I see the different colored squares, which we're going to be using different colored squares today. And when I touch those squares and move them to play the game, I can hear individual sounds in the words." So she said, "I think that's what you're trying to teach me, that words have little single sounds inside of them." And I said, "That's exactly what I'm trying to teach you. I could not have said it better." I said, "You are awesome. You're brilliant." Her shy smile and her twinkling eyes said it all to me. She was so proud of herself. Doors were opening for her. This is what she said. "I think I am going to be able to learn to read now." She quietly said that. Tears came to my eyes. Just imagine the confusion and struggles that she must have been experiencing for all those years of trying to learn to read, write, and spell, trying to make sense of printed letters and not hearing the individual sounds within the words. It must have been exasperating and very discouraging. The tears that filled my eyes that day were not just tears of compassion, but they were also tears of joy, because I knew I could teach her and I could guide her to become a strong, independent reader. I could also impart to her the joy and love of reading. So, you might be wondering, are phonemic awareness skills truly essential? Are auditory processing skills, the ability to recognize, differentiate, and understand sounds, is that really essential? You also might be wondering, are auditory sequencing skills, the ability to remember the detail of what was heard in the order that it was heard, is that essential for preschoolers and kindergartners in their initial stages of learning? To review, are phonemic awareness skills truly essential? Are auditory processing skills essential? And are auditory sequencing skills essential? The answer, of course, is yes. Research has proven that acquired phonemic awareness skills in kindergartners is the best predictor of their future success in reading. I'll say that again. Research has proven that the acquired phonemic aware skills in kindergarten is the best predictor of their future success in reading. So now, what exactly is phonemic awareness? This is the definition. Phonemic awareness is being aware of phonemes, the smallest unit of sound in our language, and understanding that one phoneme after another flows together in our spoken word. That's a complicated definition. I hope as I go along that I'll make it more clear to you. So when a child actually has phonemic awareness, they will be able to demonstrate these skills. They will be able to consciously hear the phonemes. They'll be able to consciously hear the single units of sound in a word. They'll be able to understand that these phonemes are linked together to make a word with meaning. They'll be able to understand that there is a bit of silence between words in our spoken language. So between every word I'm saying to you today, there's a little tiny break of silence. Some children with phonemic awareness do not actually hear that. They will be able to tell you the first sound in a word, the middle sound in a word, and the ending sounds in the words. They will be able to take individual phonemes and put them together. So like put the sound of ah and the sound of n and put them together to form a word. They will be able to hear syllables because a lot of children without phonemic awareness cannot hear syllables, and they will be able to understand and generate rhyme. They'll also be able to manipulate the phonemes by isolating them, separating them, blending them, putting them together, segmenting them, telling them to you one piece at a time, matching, does this sound match this sound in this word? They'll be able to substitute, change the sounds, beginning, middle, and ending. They'll be able to reverse the sounds, such as cat is tack, and they'll be able to do rhyming. So upon first hearing this term of phonemic awareness in the 1990s and listening to a definition such as I just gave you, I was confused, totally confused, as to how a child that physically could hear just fine, their ears are working just fine, how could they not hear the individual phonemes in our language? How could they not hear, like in the word cat, that there's a k and an a and a t? How could that not happen? So one day I was taking a Linda Mood Bell workshop, which Linda Mood Bell, her research is outstanding. I was taking one of her workshops and I asked the gentleman that was teaching our class to help me understand exactly what phonemic awareness is. He graciously and thoughtfully responded to my question by giving this example. And by the way, I think this is the best explanation I've ever heard. I so appreciate his help. He asked all of us attending the class, how many of us thought that we would be able to tell him what each of the 3 notes were if he pushed all 3 notes in a chord down all at the same time on a piano? How many of us thought that we could actually hear each of those notes, or would we just hear it as one chord? He said we might be able to tell if the chord was made of high notes or low notes. We might be able to tell if it was a major or a minor chord. But would we hear all 3 sounds distinctly, or would we hear it as one sound? What if he played a 4-note chord? I intently thought about what he had said throughout the rest of the day. I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to get home and try this. So as soon as I got home that evening, I asked my daughter to play chords made out of 2 notes, 3 notes, or 4 notes. And I didn't peek. And I listened so intently, painstakingly listened, as she played the chords to try to tell her how many notes she actually was playing. Was she playing 2 notes or 4 notes? And what actually were those notes? So you and your child might enjoy trying this activity at home if you have a piano, or just go to a piano store and try it. Are you able to tell if a chord is made out of 2, 3, or 4 notes? Is your child able to hear the individual sounds within the chord? It is really difficult for me to do this, and I even play the piano, and I have excellent phonemic awareness skills, and it's still difficult for me too. So now, if you or your child or anyone does not have phonemic awareness, They need to receive explicit instruction, very detailed step-by-step instruction in phonemic awareness, so that they will be able to discern those individual sounds like in cat, the k, the a, and the t. All right, so, and then they'll be able to hear those, and it'll start to make sense why we use a C, why we use an A, why we use a T. And then they'll understand, why do we use those letters for those single sounds? And it will make things so much clearer. Now, if they don't have phonemic awareness, they will not be able to hear those individual letter sounds. And they will just perceive or understand that chord, or just hear that chord as all those notes all as one sound together. And so we need to help them. Okay, so let me explain this further. So if I am teaching a student and I am at the whiteboard or something, and I ask them, what is the sound of this letter? And they say k. What is the sound of this letter? A. What is the sound of this letter? T. What is this word? Cat. And I go, oh, they can read just beautifully. They understood the k and the a and the t blended together to make cat. Well, possibly that's true. If they have phonemic awareness, that is true. However, if they don't have phonemic awareness, this is what happened for them. The C is the sound of k. They've got that learned. The A is a a, the T is a t. But if they do not have phonemic awareness, they did not blend the sounds. Instead, what they did is they looked at this word cat. They looked at the shape of it. They looked, it has 3 letters. These are the shapes of the letters. When I see this letter configuration, this shape, I say cat. They just read the word cat with no understanding that the C is making k, the A is making a, and the T is making t. If they do not have phonemic awareness, that is what is actually happening. So then, when you show them these words, and you say, you know, look, this has a k in it, this has a k in it, this is a k in it, and they'll go, yep, it does. This has an a, this has an a, this has an a. They'll go, yep, it does. And that, and so, did you hear the sound of k in all 3 words? And they'll go, what? What are you talking about? This rectangle shape is can. This shape here with a tall letter with these letters is cat. And this word here with the letter that goes down under the line, that's cat. And so they've just been looking at the letter configurations. What's the shape? How many letters are in the word? Are there tall letters? Are there letters that go underneath the line? They are not sounding it out, and they're not understanding that if you want a k sound, you use the letter C. They're just memorizing everything. So I hope that it makes it even more clear, really clear for you. But if you have other questions or you want to talk to me about it, I would love for you to email me and we can talk. Okay, so then what we're going to talk about next is that many of my students that come to me for tutoring come at about the age of 8 years old when they're in the 3rd grade. And that is because in 1st and 2nd grade, they have been trying to memorize every single word, trying to memorize what every word looks like, which for sight words is a really good skill. However, when they hit 3rd grade, they will start adding prefixes to those words, suffixes at the end of those words, and the root words themselves will grow longer. They'll have maybe 2 syllables in the root words, maybe even the suffix will have 2 syllables, and all of a sudden the words have just grown in such length, and there's so many letter configurations and what the shapes of the letters, and oh my goodness, they just cannot memorize everything. And so in 3rd grade, they hit a wall. That's what we like to say. They hit a wall. And so that's why many of them come to me at 8 years old. But I'd like to share a quick little story with you. Several weeks ago, I began tutoring a new student. He's an 8th grader, a big young man, way taller than I am. But he is at a 1st grade reading level. Although it's been a month since we started tutoring, we've just begun lesson 2. It has taken us a month to just do lesson 1. And you might ask, why has it taken him so long to just master lesson 1? Well, this wonderful, sweet, very shy boy does not have phonemic awareness. So all the teachers that have been trying to help him in the past, and bless their heart, I know a teacher, everyone wants to help their kids. They've been trying and trying also. He's been trying and trying to learn, but maybe none of those teachers understood what phonemic awareness is, and he does not have it. So trying to teach him to read, he was just trying to memorize everything. And I began very patiently explaining lesson 1 to him. And that's what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to explain, there's game boards, there's colored squares, we're going to use a mirror, we're going to talk about the movement of your mouth and the movement of your chin as it goes up and down when you talk and make different sounds. And we're going to talk about the difference between continuant sounds and non-continuant sounds. And we're going to listen to the sounds we're hearing, and then we're going to be moving those colored squares. When I started teaching him, he passed lesson 1. And I said, are you starting to hear the sounds in the words? And he goes, yeah. He said, I went and told my mom and dad about it. He said, I've never heard those sounds in the words before. And he was so excited. You know, here's this big guy, way bigger than me, and he's so excited. And I'm so excited for him because now I know he will be able to quickly learn to read. But note too that I have taken a long time to make sure that he had mastered lesson 1. I didn't just keep moving ahead. You have to make sure a child masters a lesson before you move to a new one. Phonemic awareness with silent elephany is going to change his life. It already is. So, as we've discovered, children need explicit teaching then of phonemic awareness. Silent Elephany Part 1, this is Part 1 book, is phonemic awareness, and it fulfills that need for it. It's meticulously organized. Like I said before, I'm a very organized person. And it's complete using auditory and visual and kinesthetic. The whole time you're going to be moving colored squares with your fingers and stretching rubber bands and all kinds of fun things. It's using your whole body to learn phonemic awareness. And you can play these games that we're going to be playing in just a minute. You can play them with one child that you're teaching, or if you have a lot of children, or all of you, your whole family wants to get together and play the games, you can do that. They're really fun games, and they'll be excellent teaching while you're having fun together. To teach this lesson, I will be using these game boards. In Silent Elephany, we have a train game board, and there's letters on the game board, but you do not need to worry about that. They have to know the letter names. Like, I'm teaching a little 3.5-year-old right now phonemic awareness, and he does not need to know the letter names. This is going to be the first box and the second box and so on. So this is a little train game. And then we also have a caterpillar game. And so this is a little caterpillar game, and you can see I've just covered up the squares with the colors. And so when we're ready to play the game, the children are going to decide if they want to use a caterpillar game or a train game. And it doesn't matter, any day, whatever they want to use. And then they're going to put the colors on their board in rainbow order. We're going to start with red, and then orange and yellow and green and blue and purple. Now, I do know brown is not a part of the rainbow, of course. So but I need that color. So what I tell the children is put all the colors of the rainbow, and then there's brown for a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So brown is a pot of gold at the end of our rainbow. Okay, the other supplies that we need are, each person playing a game needs a rubber band because we're going to stretch out the sounds that we hear. We also need extra colored squares. You'll need a total of 21 colored squares, 3 of each of those colors that's on the train right now. It's really wonderful if you can just take them and laminate them, but you don't have to, but they slide a little easier on the game board, and then you can wash them off and they still a little cleaner. The other thing we need is a a individual mirror. If you can find one with a little base to it, then the child can set it down on the table and they can look in that mirror and then have their hands free. I just buy these mirrors at the dollar store, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. Okay, so those are your supplies. You need the game boards, you need the colored squares, you need the rubber bands, and you need a mirror. So the first thing to start is I'm going to tell you a word. Our first word today is the word as. So I want you to listen carefully to that word, as. Then we'll pick up a rubber band and we'll stretch it out and we'll listen carefully to the sound, as. Now sometimes when I ask children how many sounds did you hear, I'll get answers 1, 2, 3. If they do not have phonemic awareness, they're not going to know how many sounds they heard. And so then the next thing to teach them is we look in our mirrors. I'm just going to kind of hold it out here to the side. We look in our mirrors and we look at ourselves and we watch. We watch our lips. We watch our tongue. We watch our teeth. And we watch our jaw. Because as you're making sounds, you will see that when you have your chin right here and you put your finger here, your chin is very close to the top of your head. So if children will notice, and you will notice as you talk, your chin is going up and down all the time. So we watch those things. So now when I say as, you can notice that I say you can see my tongue in there. You can see my teeth. You can see my lips because my mouth is open big. And you can see my chin went down. Went way down. But then watch what happened. As. Oh, my chin went up. My mouth got shut. You can't see my big tongue anymore. As. So how many sounds do you think you heard? So then children start thinking, because now you're using their eyesight, you're using the kinesthetic, not just their ears, to hear the different sounds. So as. So, oh, I think there's 2 sounds. I go, yeah, you're right. So then what we do is we're going to play the game, and we're going to take the first color, red, and I've taped these on here. Usually I have my game board laying down on the table and the kids can just slide the colors. But today, to do this video, I needed to tape them onto the paper. So it's going to take just a tiny bit longer. So we go to, let's see if I hold this maybe behind, give it a little bit more strength. Go to the red and I'll slide it down to the first line and I'll say, ah. And the next sound, zzz. And then underneath we take our finger and just slide it fast underneath and blend the sounds quickly, as. And I'll do more, so don't worry. Now I say to the children, oh my goodness, yellow has not had a turn. Yellow would like a turn. So yellow is at the front. Yellow gets to have a turn first. So we're going to pick up our rubber band again. Our next word is now you do it with me. Now we're listening. We're going to look in our mirror and we're going to look at our mouth going, can you see my tongue and my teeth? Can you feel my chin move? And that way, the children, and I'll ask the children, how many sounds do you hear? And if they do hear 2, we'll keep going. If they don't, we'll keep trying until they do hear 2. So we'll stretch the rubber band again, look at our tongues, share with your child, what does mommy's tongue look like? What does your tongue look like to me? And look in the mirror again. Just keep doing it until they actually can feel and visually see and hear. There's 2 sounds in uff. So then we take yellow and we slide it down going, and then we take green and slide it down to the line and then quickly underneath, uff. And that's our word. We're going to have blue, move up to the front a second. All right, so blue is going to move up to the front. It's very important that you move the colors between each new word that you're teaching, because once the letter has a sound, like when we did as, the red was a and the orange was z, they've got that association in their brain. And so when we move to the next word, we've got to switch colors. That's why it's important to switch colors. All right, our next word, now blue is at the front. So blue is ready to go first. Our next word is the word z. Z. So I want the children to say the word with me and stretch it with the rubber band. Z. Make sure you're pronouncing everything very clearly. And then we'll look at our mouth and our tongue and our teeth, and we'll feel our jaw. Z. Oh, my mouth is really quite closed. It's hard to see my tongue. It's kind of poking out on the sides a little bit. Z. And then my tongue dropped down. Z. And so then again, I asked them, how many sounds did you hear in Z? And again, if they don't hear two, just keep doing those activities. Another thing you can do, and this is so important, if they're still having trouble hearing the sounds, have them close their eyes and just go. Our ears hear much better with our eyes closed. Z, z. Have them really listen for those sounds and then try it again. Z, z. All those things with their eyes closed, sometimes that is the step that I really need to have children do to finally go, oh, there are two sounds. So that's a great teaching technique. Okay, next. Oops. Oh, okay. We're going to start with blue then. Sorry. All right. And the first sound is my brown fella. Zzz. So you just slide it down. Zzz. And then purple. And then quickly. Z. Now, the next thing I want to talk about before we do the next word, I'll move brown up while I'm talking to you, is that there are two kinds of sounds. One sound is called a continuant sound. It keeps on going like forever and ever until you run out of air. So all of our vowels are continuant sounds. So if I said, how long can you hold the sound of ah? Go ah, a long time till you run out of air. That is called a continuant sound because it goes continuously until you run out of air. However, and I like to call the continuant sounds like frosting, spread frosting. Ah, as long as you can. Or spread peanut butter. Ah, as long as you can. Now the other kinds of sounds are called non-continuants. Non-continuant sounds, I like to say that they just kind of explode or pop out of your mouth. And so say that we're going to next do the word p. When you get to non-continuant sounds, this is a little bit more trickier for children. And so because the sound explodes or pops so fast that it's sometimes very difficult for them to hear it and to really sense it and feel it too. And I like to call the non-continuant sounds like sprinkles on the frosting or fireworks because it just explodes. So if I say p, can you hear the continuant sound? Can you hear the non-continuant sound? So let's work a little bit on this and see if you can start to hear that. So p, that's our word. Stretch it out with your rubber band. P. We're going to look with our mirror. We're going to feel with our chin, and we're going to look for our tongue. P, p, p. Oh, my lips were so close together when I started, and then they opened up right away. P, and my mouth got bigger and my chin dropped. Do you know which sound in p is continuant? Yes, it is the I. And do you know which sound is non-continuant? It's the p. It just explodes like throw the sprinkles on there. So it's a tricky thing for children, and play around with it. You might want to get some frosting and some peanut butter out and some sprinkles, and maybe instead of fireworks, maybe some glitter or something would be fun. So when we do p, the p just explodes out of our mouth. So we're going to take this brown right now and move it very quickly. Just go p, because it just explodes. And then the red, that can slide down. If your board's on the table, that can slide down slowly. So let's try that one more time, just so we can try it together again. So the p, is it popping out of our mouth? And so it's just gonna touch the brown square and go p, really fast. And then the can come down slowly. All right, and then we will sweep our finger underneath p. Now, to tell you, all my lessons in my book are organized extremely well, and so children will begin with the continuant sounds in every lesson first, because those are easier, because they just stretch out. And then they will move to the non-continuant sounds, because those are more difficult, because they don't just because they do just pop out and they don't last a long time. All right, now we're going to do the next word we're going to do is so now I moved orange up to the front. Always move after when you finish a word or a group of words, sometimes we go to groups, then you move up to the colors. So our next word is the word so again, we would do, how many sounds do you hear in look at your mouth and your tongue, use your mirror, maybe you need close your eyes, and so they'll say 2 sounds. Good. All right, I'm going to go a little faster now because I want to save your time right now, and I hope you're understanding exactly what I'm doing. But please go at your children's pace, whatever they're successful at. We always want to move at their pace, and that's why the one little young man I was telling you about at the beginning, that 8th grader, we only just finished lesson 1 after a whole month. So move at their pace, because then you'll have success from then on. So first of all is so we have and then we have and that's Okay, now this time we are not going to move our colors. Instead, I'm going to give you another word to put underneath, where we're comparing the sounds. So the orange in is making what sound? Ah. The yellow is making So remember, orange has a job, ah. Yellow has a job, Okay, our next word is ma. Our next word is ma. How many sounds did you hear in ma? Hopefully by this time the kids are just popping out 2 sounds. And you say, okay, I have right here. Now I want to show ma under here. How do you think I would do that? So it might take what we call a little exploring, ask them some questions. Did you happen to hear any of the same sounds in that's in ma? Now some children might hear the sound that's in both first. Some children might hear the sound. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one they hear first. So if I say, if this is and then I hear ma, and I go, I hear in both of them. Well, what color up here had the job of Yellow did. So guess what? You have extra squares. Those are called my extra pile. So I'm going to get the other yellow one here and put it here for those are the same. Now I have ma. Did we happen to hear the sound of in Oh, yes, we did. And what color was it? Whose job was it? It was orange's job to make Oh, so then in my extra pile, another orange. So now I have and then I have ma. What happened? The sounds they just switched places, and now we have a whole new word. I talk to children about, think about, we have 26 letters of the alphabet and thousands of words. That's because the letters have to be able to switch around to make new words. And when they switch around, their sounds switch around. So this is a great lesson for them to understand. Okay, we're going to do one more lesson. This is lesson 4D. If I moved this game board up right now, we would now have green at the front. So I've got this ready with green at the front. Okay, our first word right now is the word log. Log. How many sounds do you hear in log? 3. Good job. Okay, so then we'll start by, we'll move the green down for ooh, ah, g. Did you hear which letters were continuant and which were not? Which were not continuant? So, ooh, continuant, ah, continuant, g. It's a non-continuant. This is the word log. Okay, pick up your rubber band. Our next word is hog. Hog. Were any sounds in log the same as hog? L, green is L, blue is ah, G, purple is g. Were any sounds the same? Did it start with l? What sound did it start with? Hog. Started with h. Do we have a color up here that has a job of h? No, we don't. So guess what? We get to pick any color we want that doesn't already have a job to do. Well, I think I'm going to pick red. Okay, I'm going to put red there for h. Now my next sound in hog, ha. Was there anything up here that already had the job of ah in log? Oh yes, there was blue. All right, so then I'm going to put blue there. Log, hog. Was there anything up here that already had the sound of g? Yes, the purple did. So, put in there. Wow, look at this pattern. Here we have the word log, hog. Okay, we're going to do another word. The next word is bog. Bog. How many sounds did you hear in bog? Again, you can close eyes, you can do the mirrors, but by this time in the book, they're usually just popping along with you. So, log, log, hog, bog. Make sure you don't say buh. That's a B and a U. Just say buh. Bog. That's a new sound. None of these colors have the job of buh. I need to get a new color. All right, I'm going to get this one. Yellow. It doesn't have a job yet. So now I'm doing bog. B. Ah. That's the blue. It already has that job of ah. Bog. G. That's purple. Look at this. So now I would have my children do log, log, ug, hog, bog. And I say, what do you think about this? What kind of words are these? And I want to share a story with you. One of my students that came to me when she was an 8th grader also did not have phonemic awareness. She came to me when she was in 8th grade and was reading at a 4th grade reading level. She was very frustrated. She was a very bright, intelligent young lady, and she was so frustrated that reading was so hard for her. And I think she felt a little embarrassed, but I always try to have my kids say, hey, look, it's just you and me. We're working together. You're okay. You can make mistakes. That's how you learn. That's how I learn too. We're okay. We're going to work together, and it's going to be good. So she was starting to relax. We'd been working together for maybe about 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And we got to this lesson 4D. And when she finished this, she jumped out of her chair and she goes, oh my gosh. And I just was like, what? I thought, are you okay? I thought she's like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Jones. She said, all these years, teachers have been talking about rhyming. She goes, that's what rhyming is, isn't it? And I went, yeah, this is rhyming. She goes, oh, they have the same sound, that's the same sound in the middle and the end. And I go, yes, rhyming actually starts with the vowel sound and goes all the way to the end. She goes, yeah, log, hog, dog, they rhyme. She says, all these years teachers have been talking about rhyme, and like when we're studying poetry and I'm supposed to write a poem that rhymes, I had no idea what rhyming was. I had no idea. And she goes, now I can see it and I can hear it. She goes, oh my gosh. And she was dancing around in my office. She was so excited. And this wonderful young lady is now in college. She tutored with me for only a year and a half and went from a 4th grade reading level to a college reading level in a year and a half, because this was the problem. She did not have phonemic awareness. Once she learned phonemic awareness, she just zipped. She's now in college studying neurology. She either wants to be a neurologist, doctor, or she wants to be a research neurologist. Her mom has MS and she wants to discover a cure for MS. It's a wonderful story. So these are the examples, but I want to tell you some more stories. I want to tell you about a young, sweet little preschool boy. He was watching his older sisters play these games and he wanted to play too. And one thing about my games is they're consistent, and I think that helps the children. They know they're going to play the caterpillar or the train every day. They know they're going to move the colored squares. They know they're going to use the rubber bands. They know they're listening for sounds. And that consistency is very important because it builds their self-confidence, and then they're willing to try harder and harder skills as we move through the book. But this little guy, even though I told you consistency is important, this little guy did not want to use colored squares. His mom was like, we're going to use the colored squares. He goes, I'm going to use something else. And he went and got his Matchbox cars. I don't know if you can see these very well, but he lined up his Matchbox cars, like red, orange, yellow, to do the word cat. And then the next word, he lined up his Matchbox cars to do the word cup. And so he's got his cars right there. Look at his big smile. He's so proud of himself. And he's loving using his cars to learn. And this picture too, he did the word dog. Sorry if I get that. He did the word dog. He's grinning from ear to ear. It's so exciting. It's so fun. So I wanted to share one more story. I had another student who came to me who just was doing just struggling in school. She was a 4th grader, and her parents were very concerned about, why is she just not learning? And, what's happening here? And when I first assessed her, I found out she just did not have phonemic awareness. She was a 4th grader, only reading at a 2nd grade level, but I could tell she had learned a lot of sight words. So she was memorizing words quite well, and that's what was helping her to get by. But once we finished phonemic awareness, this young lady just zipped through learning to read, write, and spell with phonemic awareness. She went in about 2 years, she went from a 2nd grade reading level to a 9th grade level and was only at the very beginning of her 6th grade year. And she did continue tutoring with me and made it to a college level about a year later. Awesome progress. So if you have children and they're struggling and they don't have phonemic awareness, this may be the key, this may be the secret. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today. And I hope you will, think about purchasing Silent Elephant E. If you have any questions, I would love to answer your questions. And you can email me at silentelephante@gmail.com for my email. And I would love for you to visit my website, is www.silentelephante.com. And when you visit my website, you could read my testimonials that many, many teachers and parents have written about my program. I hope you would enjoy those. And I just really love to hear from you. I've had a great time teaching, and I hope you've had a great time learning. And as I said before, my goal was to write the very best writing program that's out there. And my goal was for you to have the most fun teaching when you're using my program, and for your children to have so much fun learning, loving to learn the way they learn. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.